What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. So I told you guys that I was going to give you guys my gaming review for God of War Ragnarok. Off the top, I'm going to tell you it's a 5 out of 5 toodles. I always give out a 5 for my ratings. This game was absolutely amazing. Amazing. So when I first started playing God of War, I think the first one I played was God of War 3 Remastered. And I was like immediately hooked to that game. Then I played God of War. Then I was hooked to that game. And Tyrone was like, as soon as you finish that, you have got to jump on God of War Ragnarok. Oh my goodness. From what I understand, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Around the time that this came out, I think Elden Ring came out as well. And Elden Ring got Game of the Year. I don't know, y'all. I don't know, because this here, and I played Elden Ring. I didn't finish it, but I played it. And just the storyline alone with God of War Ragnarok had me sold. It just amazes me how now with this new way of gaming and the new games that come out and the way that the stories are told, like, it is amazing to me how these games can have you so emotional. This here was like one of the most amazing games I have ever played from beginning to end. There was a few times where I was struggling with, you know, beating bosses. And a lot of you guys have seen my growth. Now, am I a great gamer? I wouldn't say I'm great, but I will say this. I have come a long way and I have gotten a lot better with gaming. My biggest issues were, well, I think aiming when using weapons is still my issue. But another issue that I had was getting out of the way, dodging, blocking, and things like that. And I learned so much with just playing God of War Ragnarok. Not that it had to take this game to help me learn, but I just feel like the dynamic of this game, the storyline, the way that the fight scenes were, the bosses that were in this game were always different and different levels of hard, and the deeper you got into the game, the harder things got. But to me, it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be, especially the deeper you got, the harder the bosses were. But I had so much fun, even when I was losing and I was sitting here upset and mad and, you know, I guess mini raging. Like, I didn't throw anything or anything like that, but there were times where I would spend like a whole gaming stream just trying to fight a boss. And I'm like, what am I doing? Like, what is going on? And my biggest thing was learning how to parry and how to block. And I still have a lot to learn. But I feel like in this game alone, my growth was shown. Like, I showed growth from the beginning of the game all the way to the end. When I got to the end of the game, whenever I came to fights and, you know, even the mini bosses, like, I was always so focused. And a lot of you guys crack me up when you guys say, oh, she's, you know, when I have my serious face and I had this look on my face, like I'm focused, that you guys know, like, I'm really trying. I have this thing where when my socks come off, you guys don't see it. But when I say my socks are coming off, it's about to get serious. I enjoyed every minute of this game. When I tell you guys the graphics in this game, just in the last couple of games that I've played, but this particular game, like, this game just looked amazing. The storyline was amazing. I loved watching, Kratos and Atreus get closer over time, because he started off by being so savage, so cold, so protective, you know, just, you know, watching him mourn his wife throughout the game, you know, and ever so often you kind of see him, you know, just thinking about her. And there's scenes where you see him actually dreaming, and he's with her, and just Atreus understanding and learning that he's not only a god, but he's like mixed with all these other things, and he's a giant and a god. And it's like him wanting to learn more about the other side of him, and him trying to understand the message that his mother was trying to leave him. And, you know, he was on this quest to try to get to Ragnarok, and, you know, trying to figure out what was going on. And in this game, he noticed that there was something really serious that he had to figure out. And he basically knew that his father was going to die at some point, and he wasn't going to let that happen. And so it was fun to kind of see they both kind of protected each other in this game. And when I first saw that I was able to play as Atreus too, I was like, oh shoot, like it was so interesting to play as him as well, because his rage, his fights, his weapons, I mean, they're not like Kratos' weapons and stuff, but still, like, it's different. And so, you know, Atreus was really trying to win him over. And I was so, like, I remember at one point, Atreus was really, like, getting under my skin, because I don't have any kids, but I have, like, this mom intuition in me. And when he was talking to him crazy sometimes, I'm like, this little dude needs a beating. Like, he needs a beating. I'm surprised that Kratos didn't, like, grab him up, or, you know what I mean? But I guess he's had Atreus so sheltered that this was Atreus' way of just kind of breaking out of his shell and just trying to get him to understand that he needs to give him room to grow. And he didn't understand that until the end, when he allowed himself to be open, with Mimir in his ear, trying to let him know, like, look, I understand that you're trying to be his father, but you need to let this boy grow. He's getting older. He's becoming a man. He needs to understand where he's coming from, and he needs to know his own strengths. So at one point, of course, Atreus is sneaking away, trying to figure things out on his own. Then, of course, when it gets to the point when he meets with Odin, then that's when things start to get a little scary, because it's like, oh, shoot, like, is Atreus smart enough to know that Odin will really try to get in his head? So throughout the movie, just seeing their dynamic and seeing how hard he was on Atreus. And then there were moments where you kind of saw him soften up, but it didn't last too long. And then along the way, the relationship just kind of grew stronger. And the last couple of gameplays were so wild, because one of the best scenes in this game, if not the best scene, is when they both were fighting those Valkyries, and they both went into their Spartan rages together, and they were fighting together. That was probably the most epic scene I have ever seen in any game. Any game. So when that happened, I was like, oh, wow. Like, that was dope. That was so dope. And to see them, you know, fighting together, when I saw them fighting together for the first time, and it was just like, they've grown so much in this game, you know, and you feel like you're kind of emotionally growing with them. So when that fight scene happened, I didn't know what to expect, but I was like, yo, this was epic. This was absolutely crazy. So, of course, one of my favorite characters in this game, aside from Kratos, my favorite character was Brock. Brock was like a friend in my head. I mean, he had no filter. He didn't care who you were. He was brutally honest with you all the time. So when I played the other day, well, first when I found out that he wasn't all the way alive, I was just like, oh, wow. That's why his brother has been protecting him from seeing, I forgot the name of the sea creature that was, under the sea. There was a certain reason why. And it was because he knew that Brock wasn't all the way alive, and Brock didn't know. So when he finally figured it out, he was mad, but he was like, he understood why he didn't, you know, Sindri didn't tell him. But man, so we knew throughout this whole thing that, you know, Brock wasn't all the way alive. He was kind of dead, not really. But man, when they went and captured Tyr, and Tyr was this bad guy, but then he was helping them out and he was hanging out with them for a while. And then when Atreus was trying to befriend Odin and trying to get all these pieces to the mask and everything, and he went back home to show everyone that he finally got it, and Tyr turned into Odin, that made me so mad. I was like, this whole time this dude was worse than what I thought he was. And not only that, but when he stabbed Brock, my heart fell to the floor. I was so upset. Like when that happened, I stopped gaming. I was already gaming, I think, over an hour. But I was over it. I was over it. I couldn't deal with it. I was too, like, mentally and emotionally distraught because I did not see that coming. I didn't expect it. And when it's crazy because you watch movies and you get connected with certain characters. But when it comes to games, you don't really think about it that way. And the way that these games are written now, you become so attached to certain characters. And I was so attached to Brock. And when that happened, I literally, like, had tears in my eyes. Like, I couldn't deal. I couldn't deal. I was so upset. And it still bothers me now that I finished the game. It still bothers me. And of course, you know, when his funeral happened and Sindri said goodbye to him and he told him he loved him, that was just, like, this game pulled at every part of my emotions. Happy, sad, glad, angry, annoyed, afraid. You know, this is one of those games that literally it made you feel everything and you kind of grew with the game. And I loved at the end when Atreus, you know, and Kratos parted ways and he said, remember my promise. And they promised each other that they would hear each other's voices in their heads and they wouldn't, you know, allow anything to happen to one another. And I can tell it was so hard for Kratos to let him go, but he knew that he had to. And just watching Kratos finally get emotional, finally allow his emotions to be free somewhat, got me emotional. I was just like, finally we see a little bit of a softer side of Kratos. And I appreciated that. And I'm glad that we saw that. And, oh man, I just enjoyed every bit of this game. This game was a 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10, 100 out of 100. This is one of the best games I have ever played. I would definitely play it again. But yeah, 5 out of 5 toodles for God of War Ragnarok. I'm just so happy that I got introduced to it. Like, Tyrone told me, he was like, you're going to love this game. You're going to love it. I promise you, you're going to love it. And I did. I overloved it. It was an amazing, amazing game. Kudos to the creators of this game. You guys did an amazing, amazing job with every part of this game. Everything that you brought, it did what it was supposed to do. Like, if your goal was for us to connect with this on a deep level, you accomplished that. This was an amazing game. So leave your comments down below. Let me know if you enjoyed my review. If you guys played God of War Ragnarok, please tell me what you guys think. Let me know what was your favorite part. Who was your favorite character? If you got as emotional, did it do the same thing to you as it did to me? Let me know down in the comment section down below. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe to my channel, hit like, share, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you guys can get notified whenever I pop up on your feed. I'll see you guys later. Toodles!